All is Fair returned this week with episode 4, and after the first 3 episodes gave us some of the worst television of the year, I was intrigued to see the direction that this next episode would be going in. Now, if I'm being honest, it tackled a really serious and sensitive subject in this episode, which deserved to be spoken about and highlighted because the lack of conviction rates in cases like what we saw Emerald going through in the show is something that's actually very low in real life, and it's a disgusting reality. So it's a message that I'm behind in being spoken about, and I touch on the importance of that during the final chapter of the video. But with that main story aside, when looking at this show in the form of its bare bones and analysing what makes a good TV series, it was still a lame piece of work that had characters morphing into animated caricature versions of themselves and dialogue that made you roll your eyes with every word. So with that, let's dive into the episode and discuss it. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The bad performances and writing. One thing that I think the show has done that it has going against it is the fact that none of these characters feel real in the slightest. They all just feel like exaggerated animated caricatures. Take Sarah Paulson's character Car for example. During the first 3 episodes, she was seen as this revenge-driven individual that used that motivation of Allura, Liberty, Emerald, and Dina leaving her at the men's law firm as a driving force to build her own successful law firm. But in this episode, she went from being revenge-driven, which I think is still a bit ridiculous considering it was basically a decade ago when she was left, to now just being outright rude to everybody that she came across. From laughing at the way people looked to slandering those in front of her, even down to hating the taste of the black coffee that she was served when she was sitting at the desk. I just find it hard to believe that there's anybody that is that miserable in the world and that is cruel to everybody that they come across where they don't have a single nice thing to say to anybody or any form of manners in the slightest. It's something that's already become tiresome to watch, and that's after 4 episodes. In the first 3 it was alright, as it didn't feel too over the top, and I think it had the natural rhythm of the 3 episodes building, so it felt suited. I even thought Sarah Paulson was one of the best things in the first 3 episodes, but for me, her character went downhill in this one. I also find it a bit odd that Car is just basically the villain in the show too, because she sticks up for the men in the divorce cases, which just basically paints her out as being bad because she's on the side of the men. The real bad performance in character in this show though is Kim Kardashian's Allura. She didn't feature as heavily in this episode, but it's sometimes even the things that she doesn't say and the way that her delivery comes across that makes it so bad. When she acts, her face basically has 2 default settings. She either smiles or it looks like she has a blank expression on it. The lack of emotion on her face when she's delivering her lines makes it really hard to feel any form of conviction because the emotion in what she's supposed to be saying doesn't match the acting that she's doing with her face. A prime example of a perfect performance of facial acting is Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein. In fact, most of his acting was done with his eyes, so it took it a level deeper. Whereas Kim Kardashian is just the complete opposite to this. There's no real acting or emotion in her eyes or her facial expressions. I also did find it pretty hilarious that every new scene that she's in, she's not only wearing a different outfit, but she's wearing the standout outfit when compared to all of the other cast members. Some of the outfits are just so over the top and ridiculous, and it doesn't look like she's dressed for a law firm at all, so it does make me laugh and it just adds to the unbelievability of it all. I don't know why, but Naomi Watts just doesn't feel suited to this show in the slightest. Is anybody else thinking that? I said it last week that I thought she actually came across as one of the worst performers in the show, which is odd because she's a 2-time Academy Award nominee. But in this episode, she just made me cringe. She feels a bit out of place, and I can't quite put my finger on why. She was well suited in the Capote vs. the Swan show, which Ryan Murphy also made, but in this one, it's just not quite working for her in my opinion. Emerald's kids are characters that I think are also written so strangely too. They're almost like bro robots, where they don't know how to act normal and only want to drink, eat, and play video games. They just seem hyper all of the time and act like children when they're clearly not, so I find it a little strange. Did anybody also catch 3 video game remotes but a split screen on 2-player? It's things like that where I just kind of think the small details matter. The 3 children are just written in a 2-dimensional way, which allows them to serve one purpose in the show. I thought some of the lines of dialogue that they had were pretty strange as well. For example, when they were all chanting, "Mum's about to get it on," it just felt a bit weird, and like, why would you sing about your mum getting it on with a random guy? Peak Ryan Murphy writing in 2025 by the looks of it. When it came to Emerald, I thought Niecy Nash's performance was the standout thing of this episode, and it was a difficult topic to lean into. The only thing that I thought was strange was that she was basically blaming Dina for what happened. She said how if Dina wasn't originally working a case that was against Mr. Walton's father, who ended up ending things for himself, then his son wouldn't have gone after her. I find it a bit strange, and her being mad at Dina when she was offering her comfort and advice felt a bit out of place. I also thought Emerald felt like a character that wouldn't have actually thought that, so it was a little odd. I did think this story took a bit of a shift in this episode away from Allura, which was a bit odd. The first 3 episodes were all about her divorce, and it concluded with her trying to get pregnant with the frozen embryos, but there wasn't really any mention of that, other than when she held her stomach, insinuating that she could well be pregnant, so I thought it was a bit of a drastic shift, but I'm guessing now we're going to have 2 main stories on the go. The hunt for who killed Mr. Walton, and also the divorce between Allura and Chase. Let's talk about the importance of Emerald's story in the episode. When it came to Emerald, we saw that there were substances such as GHB and benzodiazepines that were put in her drink on the night of the dating event that she went on by Mr. Walton, which made her essentially lose control of her mind and be in a position where she could be taken advantage of. This led to her being taken back to his home, and she was abused by him, and even taunted a few days later by an unknown number where he sent photos to her. When she went to the hospital to have a physical examination and also her bloods taken, it was said that there were no signs of physical trauma. Then when she spoke to the police, we also saw the officer say that he wasn't going to be able to make any arrests due to the fact that there was nothing that proved that he put the substances in her drink, and also there was nothing that proved that the photos weren't consensual. So it left Emerald in a position where the very person that abused her was going to be able to walk free and potentially do this to somebody else. When looking at cases similar to this in reality, when taking a part of the UK as an example, because that's where I'm from, reported cases in England and Wales, it's said that only around 2% of all reported cases result in a conviction, a percentage that seems extremely low. It's also said that even when it comes to cases going to court, when it comes to the conviction rate, it's said to be considerably lower than many other crimes, with 48% of cases that made it to court resulting in a conviction in Scotland. So the lack of a conviction, or even the ability to be able to get a conviction in Emerald's story, is something that I can imagine people that have experienced that sort of situation might have been able to have related to. For me, even with a serious story at its heart in this episode, which, like I said, felt like it had the space and room to be able to get a key focus, it wasn't enough to take away from the DNA and makeup of the show, and the fact that it just feels like it's all about how many outfits Kim Kardashian can fit into in a single episode. The poor dialogue that gets delivered between the characters, the bad chemistry that's present on screen, and the overall pointless nature of the show. It seems to lack direction, a key defining purpose of why the show even exists, but maybe, with it seeming like Emerald's sons were responsible for the death of Mr. Walton, it might just start getting interesting. That and the fact that Allura is carrying Chase's baby without him even knowing. Something that I don't think her friends should defend when it gets found out, but I imagine they probably will. If you only watch me for this show, then I guess I'll see you next week. So, there you have it. If you want to see why I thought the first 3 episodes of the show were so bad and a larger review of the show, then check the videos below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of this episode? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.